Every superhero must have their theme music. In the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. Welcome to another edition of Jock Brothers Presents Let Us Make Man. I am your host and moderator, Brother Jackie Muhammad. I know you all have missed me. I haven't been here since Savior's Day, so you can go ahead and give me love. Let me feel it. Let me feel it. Feel your love. Praise be to Allah. I'm glad to be back. But we have an exciting show for you tonight. We have a wonderful guest for us today. We want to bring forth what he's got going on, all the different things that he's working on. But before we get to our brother, let me introduce my cadres, my brothers in the struggle.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, man, it's been a struggle. But praise be to Allah. We have endured by Allah's grace and mercy. So first, I would like to introduce my brother Kawi Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum salam, sir. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Jock Brothers Presents Let Us Make Man. I'm super excited about this show today. We got one of the top soldiers on this show. And I really, truly hope you enjoy what we bring to the table today. But before we get to the next host, I want to make a couple of announcements. Yes, one, I would like to thank you for tuning in to the Jock Brothers. You're always supporting us, keeping that bell check and sharing the show when you get a chance to. We'd like to thank you for that. And again, words can't express that. And of course, we do have, for those that donate to the Jock Brothers platform, we appreciate you. I just can't find the words to show my appreciation for you. But please continue to support the Jock Brothers financially. We come a long way. I think my brother Jack has a new mic. He got some new toys over there, a new microphone. So I know you can hear him a lot clearer today. And that is because of you. So please continue to support the Jock Brothers. Our Cash App information at the bottom of the screen. $ JAKQ Bros. $ JAKQ Bros. And of course, please share this podcast. Subscribe, hit the bell. Let's push the numbers as much as we can. As you know, we are still in Savior's Day season, and we would like for anybody that has not had a chance to donate to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, please do so. You can go to NOI.org, press donate button. I mean, let's show appreciation to a man that has given his life to the resurrection of the Black nation.
That's right.
Let's do that. Also, the Jock Brothers has a prison initiative that we have been pushing for quite some time now, in which we're trying to get the Final Call newspaper to our brothers and sisters behind bars. And if you would like to contribute to that, at the bottom of the screen, Cash App, $ Jock Bros, JAKQ Jock Bros. But in that donation, I would like for you to put a certain dollar amount for the type of subscription you would like to get. For $18 subscription, $18 donation is for a 90-day subscription. If you put $18 there, we know it's for that prison initiative. A $30 donation would be for 6 months, and a $60 donation would be for a year. Let's get the baddest newspaper in town. The only newspaper anywhere that will give you absolute truth, undeniable truth, invincible truth from start to finish. If you got another newspaper that can compete with that, present it, produce that. So please, let's get that type of information to our brothers behind bars. That's what I have, Brother Jackie. And of course, I don't know 1,000 inmates. I don't even know 100 inmates. If you know of inmates that would like to get the Final Call newspaper, please enter that information in that website that we have at the bottom of the screen, jockbrothersviewers@gmail.com. I don't know, we'll need the name, we'll need the inmate number, the address where they at, and chaplain information if you have that. I mean, make it easy for us to wiggle through the system to get that newspaper to to your loved ones. That's what I got, Brother Jackie. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So forgive me, Jock Nation, for introducing our brothers out of order. But let me bring up another hard-hitting brother. Words can't describe who.
Oh, come on. We're going to find something.
Yes, sir.
Big deep.
Words can't describe this brother reach. So with no more from myself, let's hear from our brother Ahmed B.I. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Walaikum salam, walaikum salam. Thank you all for joining on tonight, taking time out of your busy schedules. We thank you all. Very excited about the show tonight. We're dealing with UFOs and the great mind of our brother Ilya Rashad. I'm a techie, so I like Star Trek. I always watch all the tech shows. I always fix everything in my house, some computers, wires. So when we get down to the UFOs and the mother plane and the wheels, you know, I'm always ready. I'm always ready to dissect this. So thank you all for joining on. Prepare for a good show tonight. Have your pen and pads out. Get your questions ready, and we taking them all tonight. Let's get it in.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, Brother Ahmed. Like Brother Ahmed say, he's always fixing things. I just want to throw that out there, sisters. My brother is single. He's always fixing things. He's ready to work. Praise be to Allah. So with no more from us, I would like to introduce a hardworking brother in the Nation of Islam. He's a student minister serving on the research team of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He's an author, several books that defend the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. They call them UFOs, but we always call them IFOs because we have identified. Now it was flying objects, now it's aerial phenomena. You know, our enemy is definitely trying to change the words and confuse us, but we have brothers like Brother Ilya Rashad, who I'm going to introduce, who are setting things in order. He's a public educator, an urban gardener, a beekeeper. He's a family man, a husband, father, and now we can add to his resume, he's a documentarian. He's a producer of his own show, Answered, the NOI Answer, the global UFO phenomena and the truth of God.
Right.
But before we bring our brother up, we want to show a clip of the show that he just produced. And is it directed as well?
That's correct.
Absolutely. We got to put all the asterisks has to be there, brother, when you get your reward. So we definitely want to show a clip of the show, that's upcoming show. All right, go ahead, engineer.
These planes exist. The honorable that these
We're going to start that one over.
You almost had it, right?
Almost.
the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that these planes exist.
We had been teaching the reality of the will and these so-called UFOs. That was always our public teaching.
There was a time when anyone who said they had seen a UFO was accused of making it up, being confused, or even being drunk. Not anymore.
You called them unidentified flying objects. They're not that to us.
And I think that's an important thing, and for the other session, actually, that we don't discuss that now. Because, obviously something like this can be a national security challenge for us.
Well,
no doubt.
America can't deal with the mother plane, so she doesn't talk about it. If UAP do indeed represent a potential threat to our security, then the capabilities, systems, processes, and sources we use to observe, record, study, or analyze these phenomena need to be classified at appropriate levels.
They're referred to in the writings of Ezekiel the prophet as the wheel within a wheel that was seen by Ezekiel in a vision.
Oftentimes, pilots are reluctant to admit they've seen something they don't understand. It says many fear they'll be ridiculed or labeled as, I don't know, downright crazy.
You prove that what we're teaching is not the truth. Prove that it is false. We have already put out in the public domain enough evidence.
Everything about it says that God is present now in the world.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, look, brotherhood, look, Jock Nation, help me to receive. I want to introduce to some and present to others our brother, your brother, student minister, Iliad Rashad Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, sir. Welcome to the Jock Brothers.
Wa alaikum salam. And thank you so much for that wonderful introduction.
Yeah, brother. Man, you got us all excited over here, brother. What inspired you, brother, to go to length and put this movie together?
Well, of course, this does not start overnight.
Yes,
we were blessed several years ago to start publishing information in the form of books, in the form of lectures on this very subject pertaining to UFOs and the Nation of Islam and the direct correlation thereof. So I felt compelled as a follower and student of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to showcase, put forth, propagate, and announce the truth of where these so-called UFOs stem from. And we know that it has nothing to do with some foreign alien technology. It has nothing to do with Martians or anything like that, but it has everything to do with the fact that God has come, just as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Farrakhan represent to us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, like you said, you went from book form and you took it to another level to do a documentary. Was it difficult?
It wasn't that difficult, considering that we have and continue to present on this subject in the form of lectures and whatnot. So the data, for the most part, has already been collected. The data, the information, the research, the truth has already been known by us. We just want to make sure that we disseminate this truth, this information into various forms. Again, we were blessed to write the book UFOs and the Nation of Islam, which has changed the game of UFO research and disclosure. We have presented in several cities on this very topic, but we know that this topic of so-called UFOs, especially its relationship to the Nation of Islam, is one of the most suppressed and censored topics. So you will never find the truth of this discussed on any mainstream platforms.
Yes, sir.
You won't find our documentary on Netflix or Hulu. Hell, you likely won't even find it on Tubi, which is supposed to be independent. What you'll find is that we have to take the initiative to independently make, produce, and distribute the truth, because that's the only way this truth will get out, because it is, as I stated earlier, one of, if not the most suppressed and censored topics in this world.
Yes, sir.
So I have a question for you.
Hold on, brother Cowie. Before I knew you was coming, but you said earlier, UFOs, the book, it changed the game. I wanted to know. I wanted to elaborate on it. In what way did it change the game, or
well,
want to elaborate?
Certainly. Outside of the voice of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and certain Nation of Islam officials, no one deals with the truth of this phenomena.
Yes, sir.
All of the books that have been written about UFOs, all of the documentaries and movies that have been published, which goes into the hundreds, perhaps thousands, all over the world, of books and publications about so-called UFOs, but none of them deal with this truth at its source, because the source of this phenomena, historically or otherwise, would have to lead you to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who was the first to delineate the truth about this subject.
Yes,
he delineated and taught the truth about these planes before the UFO phenomena even became a thing, really. So we were compelled, and we're still compelled, to tell the truth about this phenomena, because the truth about so-called UFOs have already been answered and identified.
Oh, yes, sir. Absolutely. Thank you for your answer, brother. Go ahead, brother Cowie. You had something.
Well, let's stay on that line. I have a ton of questions. So this question is like a little down the list, but let's stay on that. Why didn't, at this point in time, in terms of the government is concerned, and I know you can't necessarily speak for the government, but you know, I think you're analytical like that. I think you think like this. Why deny the will at this point in time? But why keep it such a secret when it has manifested itself in so many ways, when there's so much data on it?
Well, certainly the government nor any intelligence of this world can hide the fact that these planes exist. So since they can no longer hide the fact that these wheel-shaped, or as they call it, disc-shaped orbs or objects exist, the only thing they can do is try to sway the public into believing that these discs, that these objects are somehow from some extraterrestrial origin. So they've been lying for all of these years. Just think about it. It was just last year that the government even admitted that these planes exist.
Yes, sir.
Which lets us know that for the past 70, 80 years, they've been outright lying.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
So as UFO researchers and people seeking the truth and disclosure on this topic, the government is the last people that you should try to get truthful answers from.
Yes, sir.
If you really want to know the truth, UFO disclosure, it would be wise to get to the source and get to the ones who introduced this phenomena to the world. And again, that leads only to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam, represented by the Honorable Minister Farrakhan. No way to get around that. And that's what they're trying to do.
You know, I love the fact, Brother Ili Rashad, that you didn't take a back seat, you know, just by saying, well, the minister has mentioned it, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has talked about it, so why should I write a book on it, or why should I do a documentary, man? And I love the courage that you're displaying. And really, you know, when we study our enemy, you know, he comes in and he does our history. I mean, if we do the history, if we check the history on all of our leaders, he has wrote about, he has printed this information. So I love the fact that you are fighting our fight. You're standing up on our behalf on what the minister and what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad has given us, and you are verifying the truth. you are verifying what we know, you know, and you're supporting what they have given us. And I just want to applaud your courage, you know, stepping out there and doing that. And then, you know, employ other believers who are listening. You know, let's follow our brother's footsteps, and, you know, let's write our own history, you know. So I just want to, you know, put that out there, brother. We appreciate you.
Much love and appreciation to you, because we have to not allow the devil to continue to tell our narrative.
Yes, sir.
And far too long, our enemies, the devil, the U.S. government, white powers, they have been the ones telling our story, and they always lie. They have never gotten it right.
Come on now.
And it is in the devil's interest. And when I say devil, let's just make it clear. I'm talking about white American powers in particular, you know, and we're not talking about no spooky spirit that hops in people. No, we're talking about a real power that governs the world, that is operated by men, people. So the devil has never been truthful when it comes to telling our story, which is why the U.S. government, the media, white powers in general have found it necessary to target the Nation of Islam mostly. They won't even allow, this is how strict they are when it comes to us. Unlike anybody else, you don't know anybody else that has a litmus test outside of our leadership, the Honorable Minister Farrakhan. He is the criterion that is used to measure Black consciousness. He and the Nation of Islam really are the criteria that even the devil uses to measure how awakened Black people are. So it behooves them to do everything they can to block every avenue of light that the Nation of Islam offers from our people. This is why you'll find that we have been the most censored when it comes to social media platforms. We are the ones who've become most blacklisted when it comes to mainstream media. Now, think about this. Here, the Nation of Islam are the most vocal and outspoken persons and group when it comes to the truth about the so-called UFO phenomena, but they will never even invite us to the discussion, you see, because it is not in the devil's interest for the truth to be known. And we don't approach this position as speculators. We don't approach this topic as, you know, theorists who are pontificating about what we think these crafts are. Absolutely not. We are coming from an authoritative position with proof and evidence that we know exactly what these planes are. And we were the first on record to tell the world about it. And everything that this world is experiencing about these disc-shaped objects is confirming that Elijah Muhammad was giving direct information from the Supreme Being. This is why this topic is so secretive. This is why this topic, when I say this topic, I'm talking about both UFOs and the Nation of Islam, is kept above top secret. Why this topic, and we are the most surveilled group, withstanding all the government attacks and scrutiny. It's because the truth about this topic will force any reasonably thinking man and woman to bear witness that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad encountered, met, and was taught by the Supreme Being, God in person.
That's right. That's right.
Let me ask a question. When we're dealing with the seriousness of this topic, coming out of the 50s and the 60s, we've had men and women who deal with topics in our community, and everybody's conscious, everybody's focused and paying attention, even up to the 80s and early 90s. But now, today, they really make knowledge and truth seem, they put so much mockery and buffoonery. It's all comedy now. So when we present information and knowledge from our teachings and our lessons, they combat it with, oh, that's just, they make it a joke. They make what we bring to the table, oh, that's just jokes. They know too much. They have too much information. How are you going to combat that aspect of it?
Well, all of those are merely excuses not to accept the plain, provable truth.
Provable truth. Okay.
Again, yes, provable, because this truth that the Nation of Islam represents concerning the reality of God, which is evidenced in what they call the UFO phenomena. See, our position, unlike any other school of thought, unlike any other religious tradition, unlike any other even academic school of thought, the Nation of Islam is capable of proving our position because it is measurable. You see? So if we say that God came and he brought evidence of his power, then certainly we should be able to substantiate those bold claims with some type of evidence. Right. Certainly it should be in the historical records. Certainly it should be verified with some type of empirical data. And fortunately it is. This is why even the scholars refuse to deal with the Nation of Islam in this regard, because we can prove, we can show you that Master Father Muhammad met the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and was taught and taught him what he knows, because it was not seen or heard before. We can show you based on their records that Elijah Muhammad was the first and still remains the only one to give definitive details about these planes. Why? Because it's in historical records. Hell, it's in the FBI records.
Right.
The FBI for decades was and still is surveilling the Nation of Islam. And in the files, the declassified files, we see where the FBI was tremendously concerned about Elijah Muhammad's connection to these wheels that he talks about.
Yes, sir.
They took it as a matter of national security. So when we talk about God, we're not talking from some strictly religious, some spiritual, like limited to some spiritual world. No, we're talking about real world evidence.
Come on now.
So we can bring historical data to substantiate this truth. So this is why the Honorable Minister Farrakhan and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has called on world leaders to not just challenge, but sit with us when it comes to this, when it comes to the truth of God. Because if you are willing to reason, if you are willing to utilize evidence and not limit your position or your arguments to strictly some religious interpretation, then you would have no other choice. You would have to render no other conclusion, no other logical conclusion than to admit that, you know what, Elijah Muhammad had to have met some supreme power, because he was the first one to tell us about these things that have become evident in the world today. And that's the truth nobody want to deal with.
Right.
Absolutely. I was wondering, because, we watched the documentary, and I was wondering how, when you wrote your book, how was it received, in particular from Black Christians? How was it received? Because we're telling them, all right, look, God has come, and we know where he is. So how is that received, dear brother?
Well, for the most part, our Christian family, much like our Orthodox Muslim family,
yes, sir,
Black in particular, have been very apprehensive to even engage in the discussion.
yes, sir, yes, sir.
You know, and be mindful that as part of the Nation of Islam and as part of the Honorable Minister Farrakhan's research team, we encourage people to question us. We encourage people to approach the teachings and approach our position as you would any other body of knowledge. You can approach this even in a secular sense, you know, because we understand that some people they're not into religion. They're not into God, if you will.
Yes, sir.
And that's fine. You can still approach this subject based strictly on empirical data. You see what I mean?
Absolutely.
So there's no way out. But I've noticed that our Christian family, as with many of our traditional Muslim brothers and sisters, they seem to be apprehensive to engage us and question us on this topic. And I believe it is because, remember, for the first since the 30s all the way to the early 2000s, really, the Nation of Islam had been largely ridiculed for this teaching.
Yes, sir.
You know, I remember even in the 90s when some of my peers were trying to make fun of the Nation of Islam's teaching on these wheels. They would say things like, man, pardon my language, but man, y'all niggas believe in spaceships and whatnot. You see?
Yes, sir.
So back then, before internet, before all the evidence became readily available, it was easy to try to mock the nation then because the evidence was not as evident as it is now. But now that evidence proves the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Minister Farrakhan to be 1000% correct.
Right.
Now everybody act like they don't know anything. Now they act like UFOs, the Muslims. I don't know nothing about the Muslims in the nation and UFOs. Oh, now you don't. See?
Yes, sir.
And here's the real reason from the Muslim perspective as well as the Christian perspective. If you admit, and if you acknowledge that these wheels that they call UFOs exist, just as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam first told the world, then you would literally have to admit that Minister Farrakhan, Elijah Muhammad, and the Nation of Islam have been right and exact the whole time.
Yes,
and in doing so, that would nullify their traditional beliefs. Because think about this. All of the scriptures, be it the Torah, the Old Testament, the Gospel, the New Testament, the Holy Quran, all of these sacred texts describe God in the exact manner that the Nation of Islam represents God.
Come on now.
If your God does not operate through some type of flying vessels described in the scriptures as his flying chariots, described as wheels, described as operating in clouds and pillar of fires, and God's throne up in the sky, his New Jerusalem. In the Quran, Allah is positioned and stationed upon his throne of power, which is above the water. See, if your God does not operate from some of these flying wheels, then you do not represent the God of scriptures. And see, that's a hard pill for anybody to swallow. And that's why the religious world, the religious scholarship have been extremely afraid to even deal with the subject and show how, in truth, It's negligent and somewhat hypocritical, because all of the scriptures clearly depict God in this manner, yet we don't hear any of the preachers, the imams,
Right.
talk about God in the real world who operates from these flying vessels.
Yes,
Because if they did, then they would have to admit the Nation of Islam is right and exact the whole time. That's a hard pill to swallow. So you want to know why nobody wants to deal with this? Because it proves the Nation of Islam was right about those and right about God.
You took the gloves off on that one, brother Ilya Rashad, man.
Yeah.
And you took the gloves off early too. I mean, within the first half hour of the show.
Hey.
You touched on a couple of points in which I had wrote about. So when I was preparing for the show, a couple of questions popped up in my head that I said, let me just write them down. One is, it's a known fact that they don't put every book of the Bible in the Bible. There have been some omitted books, and I did the research on that. Some of the books that is not in the Bible, but we everybody know, like Barnabas is not in the Bible. It said a Book of Enoch, the Gospel or the Infancy of Jesus Christ. It's a lot of books that's not in the Bible, and I questioned, and just to know that, I was almost like, since the prophet Ezekiel isn't really preached about in church as much as, say, Matthew or Mark or say the books of Moses, why even put it in the Bible at all? That was one of my first questions. Now, why even put it in the Bible? You don't even teach of it. And my question, another question would be, why do you think, and I haven't written down, why do you think that, I guess, those that put the Bible together did put it in? Why did they put it in the Bible when they didn't have to? When this type of teaching totally aid our argument in terms of that God is real. I mean, so I want to know if you can address that.
Certainly. As you really mentioned, the book of Ezekiel is another one of those biblical passages that few preachers and religious leaders, delve into. The only part that you probably hear preachers talk about from Ezekiel may be something about the dry bones in the valley, and they'll start hooping and hollering over those dry bones in the valley, but outside of that,
all right, now.
Outside of that, it's not talked about that much, especially when you get to the Judaic scholars. Did you know that the book of Ezekiel, according to many Jewish rabbis, is considered the most dangerous scripture in the Bible? Particularly the first chapter of Ezekiel 1:1, where it talks about into this day and this month and such, while I was near the rivers of Kabar, I saw visions of God. And the reason that Jewish rabbis find this prophecy most disturbing is because the prophecy of Ezekiel gives one of the clearest signs of God's coming.
Come on now.
Because Ezekiel later on starts to describe God's coming at a certain day and time, which we may get into in Chicago this weekend, possibly. But this is a God who obviously has the appearance of a man upon a throne, and this throne is stationed amidst God's flying wheel. So one of the clearest signs of God's coming and presence is the fact that God comes and is accompanied by his heavenly flying wheels that Ezekiel saw. So the Jewish rabbis have considered this amongst the most exclusive and dangerous topics, so much so that it is not to be discussed during the regular synagogue services. In fact, it is so exclusive and considered so dangerous that only certain rabbis with certain special approval and clearance are to be taught about it. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad solved and answered everything that they had been studying, because the Jewish rabbis for well over a millennia, for over 1,000 years, have been anticipating God's coming.
Yes, sir.
And the clearest sign of God's coming, well, some of the clearest signs is, one, God's accompaniment with his heavenly flying wheels. That's clear.
Yes, sir.
That God has come. But also the presence, get this, of Elijah. These, according to the Judaic traditions, are some of the clearest markers of the Messianic age. The presence of Elijah, who signifies that God is present, which is further verified by God's flying chariots or flying wheels. And so the Jews, a party of them, consider this the most dangerous scripture. Now, I want to leave that by asking a question. Who would consider the coming of God dangerous? I'll leave it at that.
That was the question I wanted to ask, because as the American Indian, as the black man, the Arab brothers, media has made these wheels and this coming an alien force, but not just an alien force, something to be feared, something that's going to kill us or eat our brains. Or they've made it such an enemy to where now we are making the connection to show the connection, but it's still a hard pill for the public to swallow.
Absolutely, because it's too real. It makes too much sense. Right. It's not even, it doesn't require interpretation. See, it's so plain of a truth that to acknowledge the clear evidence forces you to acknowledge and admit that Elijah and Farrakhan are right. That's the hard part about this. So from a governmental perspective, it is in their best interest to sway the public against the source of this phenomena.
Right.
It's much better for the government to have the public believe that these may be some alien extraterrestrial crafts that we don't know the intent, the purpose, and whatnot. It's easier to have the public believe that.
Yes, sir.
Just like when it comes to our history, the pyramids. The enemy knows that our people had vast, high civilizations, ancient civilizations. That was our people.
Yes, sir.
And because white folks see the relics of what our fathers did and what our fathers left, it becomes super difficult for them to acknowledge that our people did that. See? Because they don't understand the technology, the ancient technology that our people displayed. They would rather give credit to some made up aliens than to say that black people did this.
Right.
You see,
yes,
the devil cannot admit to the truth. You see, so it's the same principle when it comes to the UFO phenomena. It will never be in the devil's interest to admit the plain truth, even though we can prove it for days. His own documents prove it, but they would never come out and say, you know what, people, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Farrakhan have been right and exact the whole time. Okay, that's it. No. But you know, there are some wise ones among them,
Right.
who have tried to admit it. One who comes to mind is the white Jewish professor, Michael Lieb, from the University of Chicago. He wrote a book called Children of Ezekiel. And in this book and in many other of his writings, he has tried to alarm his white and Jewish brethren, trying to tell them, look, y'all, there's something about Farrakhan and Elijah Muhammad.
Right.
Y'all need to look, y'all need to kind of lay off them and really listen to what they're saying about these UFO stuff and this wheel. Now, this is a wise, academic, Caucasian Jewish professor, okay? A well-versed, well-studied, who knows something about history, who knows something about anthropology, who knows much about the Judaic traditions. And in his knowledge, he was trying to warn his fellow white and Jewish brethren. Yeah. Look, y'all need to listen to Farrakhan. And let me tell you this, Michael Lee, Professor Lee, he was the first one to do a review of our book, UFOs and the Nation of Islam. And he wrote me, bearing witness to this truth.
Wow.
He wrote me years ago after I published the book, saying how his Jewish brethren need to bury the hatchet and really look closer at Minister Farrakhan. It was he, Professor Michael Lee, who admitted that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Farrakhan represent the capstone of this study of so-called UFOs. The capstone is the most important part of something, the seal of something.
Yes,
you
sir.
see, the
Yes,
thesis, sir. The main point.
Yes, sir.
So if this white man can admit it, you see, but unfortunately, his fellow brethren don't seem like they're trying to publicly admit to that truth.
I was going to ask that question. I was wondering, did even if the scientific community maybe embrace any aspect of the book or anything like that? That's why I wanted to ask you. Did the scientific community reach out or anything like that, or anyone, other community?
Well, the scientific community hasn't reached out, but fortunately, all of their scientific findings point this way anyway. They just can't say that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Farrakhan are right and exact, you know?
Yes,
but
sir.
The scientific evidence proves them to be right and exact. So they have not reached out per se, but I'm thankful for the science that they research, because think about it. You and I don't have the resources and the apparatus to go out with huge telescopes that can look into the heavens. We don't have access to things like the International Space Station where we can monitor the heavens, but they do.
Yes.
And since they have the resources to do that, all their resources only help confirm what we've been telling the world anyway.
Right.
So we're thankful for what they have tried to study, because it only proves what we've been saying is absolutely right.
Yes.
So I got this question in your video, and I'm just giving your documentary a little plug. You had Mother Ty Nether. She gave a little excerpt about how the government are sending, trying to make stations out in outer space. As far as in Mars to try to find the wheel and to even shoot at it. I think she made a comment quite like that. So the question that came to my head is, with the government knowing how powerful this wheel is, how they can't seem to get a beat on it, how they understand that the technology of the wheel is far more superior than their technology, is it safe to say that if they are doing just what Mother Tanetta said they were doing? Are they trying to fight God? Are they trying to actually put their dukes up and go one-on-one with God and win?
That's exactly what all the scriptures describe that the devil would do.
Right.
See, the devil will try to fight God despite all the evidence that God is clearly superior. That's what makes them the devil. And it becomes difficult for people like us to understand that because we don't have the devil's job or the devil's mindset.
Come on, bro. Come on.
So we often judge these powerful governments based on our own tender hearts.
Right,
No,
right.
They're not like us.
Right.
And all your scriptures tell you how the wicked rulers will try to fight God despite the evidence that God is clearly superior.
Right.
You recall in the scriptures how Pharaoh, despite all of the plagues, despite God clearly showing his superior power, despite God parting the Red Sea and all of that right before his eyes, he still had the heart to try to go and kill God's people. You see,
man.
That's a clear sign for us.
Right.
We see how Herod in the New Testament, King Herod, had saw the signs that it was time for the deliverer, the Messiah, to arise. But despite the clear signs, his job and his mind was not to go and help and stand with the Messiah. His job was to try to go kill the Messiah.
Yes, sir.
The devil ain't like us. So God is showing us that the rulers of this world, the satanic mindset that governs this world, they have been given evidence of God's superior power, and they know they can't deal with it. But the devil will try to fight God. And so what our blessed Mother Tanetta was sharing was coming from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who stated how the devil is trying to build a base either on the moon or some nearby planet so that they can monitor and try to do what they can against his will. That's why that is the fuel that drives their astronomical exploits. You know, they're trying to see what this will is and trying to attack it.
Right.
You see, that's the mind of the devil. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad assured us, he said the devil can try all they want. He even said that the devil actually has some weapons that if it could reach it, could actually rip the wheel apart. If the devil could reach it, he said, but the devil could never even get to her. You see? So the devil has artillery, but Allah is so far vastly superior. And this is why it's so important for us, for Black people, the people of God, to know that God has come for us and he has brought back up. He has brought evidence of his superior power. So if you ask me, I don't think there's any topic more important than the fact that we should know that God has come for us and he brought evidence of his power. What could be more important than that? You see, we talk about freedom and justice and whatnot. Well, why not go to the very and only source that can render justice, that can render us true freedom, who has the power over all of our oppressors and all their militaries combined?
Come on now.
If we had as much sense as I believe we do as Black folks, as original people, as oppressed people, then there would be no other topic of more importance than to align ourselves with that power that has come for our salvation.
Come on, man.
Right.
Okay. All right. We're gonna go to a commercial break.
Oh, no, not a break.
I do have a question from one of our viewers. who sent me a question directly, but definitely we want to go to the break first, and then we want to show also the video trailer of the documentary that's our brother has released. So, Brother Kyle, will you go ahead and take us away, sir?
Oh, yes, sir. Wow. If you are looking at this episode of the Job Brothers, you have to say we put this one together right here. Our brother is absolutely blazing. And if you think that he's blazing, if you think this is a show worth sharing, please do that. Share the show. And ask your people to please hit subscribe and hit the bell. Also, again, we have an initiative. We're trying to put the baddest, boldest, best, and truthful newspaper behind the bars to our brothers and sisters that can't just readily get it. We're doing that by asking you to aid in that endeavor, that initiative. We're asking you to make a donation to that prison initiative, and the Cash App information is at the bottom of the screen. $ Jock Bros, JAKQ, Jock Bros, and we asking for $18 donation for 3 months, $30 donation for 6 months, and $60 donation for a year. Praise be to Allah. And always we like to always promote Jock Brothers and their businesses. Let's start with Brother Ahmed. He's an author, along with our guest. He is an author. He writes children books, and his first book is can you put it up, Ahmed, so they can see it? Bilal and the Bullies. This is a big issue with our family being bullied, and he wrote a book about it and giving you some ways to deal with it. So support our brother. His information is www.bipublishing.com, and you can also get it on Amazon, right, Ahmed?
Yes, sir. The website will direct you right to Amazon, and we can promote to try to get the book in Brother Elias' school as well.
And brother Ahmed, when will the next book be coming out?
It's coming out very soon, very soon. By the end of the summer, we'll have 2 books out by the end of the summer.
Praise be to Allah. Also, our brother Jakima, he is an owner of Supreme Waste Removal. Brother Jackie, tell me a little bit about your company.
Yes, sir, brothers and sisters. I rent dumpsters, 20-yard, 30-yard, 40-yard dumpsters. We have plenty to go around. If you're in the Atlanta metro area, we service you from Alpharetta to Griffin, or we service you from Douglasville to Lithonia or Covington as well. So definitely, if you need a dumpster service, we'll make it happen for you. Thank you.
Praise be to Allah. And of course, I am your local realtor. I work with Better Homes and Garden. I know everybody heard of Better Homes and Garden. Call me. I deal with commercial and residential real estate. I try to make your experience very fun, very easy for you. So give me a call. My number is 44671-5681. And if we have no other announcements, let's get to the trailer. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, we're gonna ask the engineer. We can find that trailer, and we can play our brother's trailer.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that these planes exist.
We had been teaching the reality of the will and these so-called UFOs. That was always our public teaching.
There was a time when anyone who said they had seen a UFO was accused of making it up, being confused, or even being drunk. Not anymore.
You called them unidentified flying objects. They're not that to us.
And I think that's an important thing, and for the other session, actually, that we don't discuss that now. Because, obviously something like this can be a national security challenge for us.
Well,
no doubt.
America can't deal with the mother planet, so she doesn't talk about it.
If UAP do indeed represent a potential threat to our security, then the capabilities, systems, processes, and sources we use to observe, record, study, or analyze these phenomena need to be classified at appropriate levels.
They're referred to in the writings of Ezekiel the prophet as the wheel within a wheel that was seen by Ezekiel in a vision.
Oftentimes, pilots are reluctant to admit they've seen something they don't understand. It says many fear they'll be ridiculed or labeled as, I don't know, downright crazy.
You prove that what we're teaching is not the truth. Prove that it is false. We have already put out in the public domain enough evidence.
Everything about it says that God is present now in the world.
Answered. UFOs identified. Man, I was thinking about what you said, and I was having this conversation with my wife right after Savior's Day. When I was in high school, the ROTC tried to recruit me, and our ROTC was Navy. So I said to them, I said, man, I really want to fly planes. I'd come into ROTC, but I want to learn how to fly planes. They said, no, we're Navy. They didn't invite me in. They said, well, you have to go to another high school, which was Oak Ridge on the other side of town to be in the Air Force ROTC. And I was telling her, I was like, man, I'm so glad I didn't join the Air Force. My crazy mom would have been out there fighting the baby planes, man, on behalf of the devils. That would have been crazy. That would have been so crazy. So I have a question from one of the audience, one of the viewers. It's a very good question. And he says, what would you say to those who say, can we discuss these wills without mentioning Elijah, Muhammad, and Farrakhan?
If you want to discuss these wheels, these planes, without discussing them, then you are not trying to discuss the truth. That's like trying to, I use this analogy a lot. That's like trying to discuss the history of the bean pie, but you leave out the Nation of Islam who introduced the bean pie to the world, right? Yes. So if you want to talk about the true history of the bean pie and not include the nation, then you're not trying to tell the truth. You must be up to something. You must be lying. You must be trying to hide something. So this is the reason why you don't hear us when it comes to the UFO discussion. They're trying to hide something.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, go ahead, Ahmed. You had something?
No, I did, but that was a deep question because people would love to separate the messenger from a lot of things. We want to talk about food. Right. We want to talk about diet. We want to talk about this and that. And we want to totally exclude the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Ms. Louis Farrakhan, out of the discussion. Isn't that, that's
it's called the conspiracy of silence. A conspiracy of silence is a term that I just learned about a couple of years ago. I didn't even know that was a thing. But a conspiracy of silence is when there is a general agreement among a group of people not to ever talk about certain things, especially in public. It's like an agreement. There are certain things we just cannot and will not talk about. And the Nation of Islam's inherent connection to the UFO phenomena is part of that conspiracy of silence. As obvious as this connection is, that's why nobody's has the gall to talk about it. You don't hear journalists talk about it. And keep in mind, this is the most newsworthy topic there could be.
Right.
The fact that God has come, the fact that we know exactly what these aerial phenomena are. What's more newsworthy than that? But the thing is, can it talk about it? Think about it now. Here, you have the Nation of Islam and our leadership in the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, who are the most scrutinized, the most criticized, the most lied on group of people as it relates to the media, as it relates to governmental targets and whatnot. And despite the fact that they will say any and everything about us and our leadership, they refuse to deal with the core of the nation, which is the fact that God has come with proof of his power in these so-called UFOs. They're not allowed to bring it up.
Yes, sir.
Educators, the wise scholars of the so-called best universities, they're not allowed to have this conversation about us, especially not with us. You see, your journalists, these are supposed to be award-winning journalists. They can't talk about this. And as far as I know, in the almost 40 years that the Honorable Minister Farrakhan has been teaching, absent the physical presence of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, as many news shows that he's been on, as many journalists that have interviewed him or even tried to debate with him, I can only recall maybe a handful that have even asked him about the wheel, that have even asked him about it. What's the name? Not Peter Jennings. It'll come to me. Back in 96, the guy, he had asked him, this was after the movie Independence Day had released, and Minister Farrakhan was on. Ted Koppel. Ted Koppel. He had asked the minister about it, and when the minister was going in telling what these planes are, then of course Ted Koppel started going to hurry up and went off to another subject.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Martin Bashir, in an interview in 2007, I believe, had asked the minister something about his vision, like experience on the wheel, and when the minister started going in, he was left dumbfounded and went on to another subject. I think Charlemagne the God, when the minister was on the Breakfast Club, said something about it. He didn't go deep, but Charlemagne said something about it. And I think there was one other journalist. You're talking about nearly 40 years of the minister being on hundreds of shows over this almost 40-year period. And only maybe a handful of journalists have even touched the subject. You see? So that's all a part of the conspiracy of silence. They are not allowed to. The white man will not allow journalists or educators to deal with us on this topic.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Brother Kawi.
Yeah, so I do have a couple of friends that's in Christian. I think they tuned in late. So I got this question. I said I'll ask it. The question is, how is the will related to the judgment? That's their question. And I also want you to
that's a good question. Yeah.
Right. I also wanted you to entertain us with, if you can, with just how did this will was, how was it made, or what is it about this will that make it such a topic of community, so why are they trying to hide the power of the will? What is on that will that make it as powerful it is? I guess that would explain why they try not to talk about
it. And those questions are kind of intertwined,
right?
Because the judgment can only be rendered by someone who has the power to render judgment.
Absolutely.
So Allah, God, shows his presence and his power as proof that he is capable of rendering judgment and backing up his judgment. All of the scriptural prophecies point to a day and time of God's judgment that he renders when he is in the making a decision as to what to do with this people and this nation that have destroyed God's chosen people. So all of these things are related to this wheel, the judgment, the chosen people, the Messiah, the people of God. All of this is intertwined. And so God cannot render judgment if he doesn't have the power to. So he manifests and displays, especially to the existing powers of this world, he displays his power to them, especially so that they will know, and to give them the opportunity to get it right, to do right by God's people. See, God is a just God. Throughout the scriptures, we see where God has often shown his power really to his enemies. It's like he will show it to his enemies almost more than he shows it to the people that he comes to save, because the enemies are the ones that have his people in bondage.
Yes, sir.
So God offers the enemy, the people in power, his calling card, his signature, to show that he has proof of his power and that his power is far superior than anything that they have. So this puts them in the valley of decision too. That's what the judgment entails. But it's also a time for us to make a decision.
Absolutely.
And that decision was posed really in a question that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad posed, that Minister Farrakhan has reiterated. Who will survive this war of Armageddon?
Come on, man.
See, that's the judgment.
Right.
It's up to you to decide what side you're going to be on. Are you going to be on the devil side of America that represents slavery, suffering, and death?
Come on,
or
man.
you take the side of Allah with proven power in these wheels, power that's proven to be superior than any of the militaries and technologies of this world? Will you choose the side of Islam, freedom, justice, and equality from the only one who can render true freedom, true justice, and equality? Or are you going to stick to begging the white man who will never give you justice, who can't give you freedom? See? Who will survive this war of Armageddon? I don't know about you, but I choose to stand with the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, because he represents the God of that wheel. He represents the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, who represents the God of that wheel.
Absolutely.
And if I were you, I'd be flying to Allah to be with that man.
Yeah, we're gonna keep it Messiah over here. You right about that.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. So another question I have from one of our guests. It says, can you illustrate aspects of the wheel and the New Jerusalem?
Certainly. As we mentioned earlier, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Farrakhan have been the first and foremost to delineate and describe in detail the origins and purpose and intent of this wheel and the accompanying 1,500 smaller wheel-shaped planes that I read in a report recently that the Pentagon has concerns over. The Pentagon is now referring to something called a mothership, that they're calling a mothership.
Yes, sir.
In Earth's atmosphere that seems to be releasing many times smaller orbs. Come on. Now, this is a primary concern of the Pentagon,
yes, sir,
of America's defense system. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad already told us why they fear this. Let me read this from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. This is from Message to the Black Man, where the Honorable Elijah Muhammad stated that the devils see the end of their world and they see the signs of the Son of Man coming in the sky with power and great glory, the great Ezekiel's wheel, and the unity of the Muslim world and the distress of nations. See, the devil, Elijah Muhammad already told you. See, the devil is concerned because he sees the signs of God, the Son of Man, coming in the sky with this great wheel. And so what do you see now? They're reporting coming from the Pentagon. Well, we fear that there's a mothership releasing these smaller orbs that are monitoring militaries of this world and whatnot. Yeah. But you don't want to just bear witness to the fact that Elijah Muhammad and Minister Farrakhan are right? Well, hell, if you don't want to admit that when the evidence is right before us, then hell, we deserve to be destroyed in this judgment.
That's right.
You see?
Yes, sir.
Because it does not make sense to ignore the clear evidence and the sure truth that's been presented before the world. No, we can't continue to overlook the Honorable Minister Farrakhan and what he represents. You don't have a man anywhere on this earth that has been consistently calling out the satanic powers by name and face, challenging the satanic powers that have a stranglehold over all of these industries that control the world. They have a stranglehold over banking and finance. They have a stranglehold over the housing markets. They have a stranglehold over the economy, over the media, over educational curriculum, over political policies, both foreign and domestic. But nobody wants to talk about that Jewish element that has a stranglehold over all of these elements of government and world power. But there's that child of slaves, the Honorable Minister Farrakhan,
now.
On behalf of his teacher, his father, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, who is the only one out there by himself, like David, challenging Goliath.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I say, if you have any sense, you want to stand with this man because we will be victorious.
That's right.
Yes, sir. One last question. I'm wondering, are you able, could you touch on what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us about how the mother wheel was built?
Certainly. And we certainly go over it in our book as well.
Absolutely.
But to make it plain and simple, that wheel and those smaller wheels that they call disc-shaped objects and tic-tacs and all of that, that wheel was built on this earth by human beings on this earth. The construction of it took place on this earth, but the main part of its construction took place in the area of Japan, in that area, that part of the world. It took about 20 years to build, thousands of people. It was a huge labor force. Of course, the people that were a part of the building of this craft had no idea as to what it would be. All they knew is that they had their part to play or their job to do, but they had no idea as to what the ultimate objective of what they were doing would lead to. That information was kept with Allah and a certain select of his host of scientists, which the scriptures refer to as angels. Human beings now, no beings with wings and all that Cupid Hollywood stuff. No, these are human beings of highly superior intelligence and scientific capabilities. These are the ones who not only were responsible for the orchestration of this wheel under the tutelage of God himself, but it's some of these scientists who are also responsible for the operations of these crafts, these man-made crafts.
Come on now.
Made with the finest steel, made with technology that this world could not even fathom.
Say that again.
Honorable, this world could not even fathom the type of science and technology that goes into these wheels and their operations. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad stated that this world will never know that until the destruction of the devil's world. Then, after the destruction of the devil's power, will Allah allow some of the fullness of that technology, that wisdom, that healing, that blessing to be manifest on this earth. But it can't take place until after the devil's power is broken.
Absolutely. Well, you heard it first on Jock Brothers, and we want to thank our brother Ilya Rashad Muhammad for visiting us today, man. Wonderful interview, wonderful information. We want to put up our brother's information where you can get his books, where we can definitely
check out the documentary.
nationbrothers.com, and you watch the documentary, and inshallah our brother will be maybe in Chicago this week. I don't know if that's final, but inshallah we see our brother in Chicago. Yes, sir. Inshallah. So definitely thank you for coming on the show, brother Ilya. Very good information. Here we want to close out. So what are you finna? Is the engineer going to show us something? Oh, okay. Yes, sir. This is the documentary. So we want to support. We want to go to www.nationbrothers and support the documentary. Watch the documentary. We watched it as well. It's very good. You know, I didn't want to give up anything that I seen. So definitely, we want those who are listening to go and support our brother and watch the documentary series. So
study it. They need to study it, brother. They need to study it.
Absolutely.
And that's just the first episode of it.
Yes, sir.
That's just the first episode. And in the first episode, all we really do is touch on the main topics that are going to be further unpacked in the upcoming episodes. So even in the first episode, you know, we put a lot of information that's really incontestable. So if you think the first episode was majestic, boy, you just wait until the following one. So y'all stay connected.
That's right.
So I could binge watch it, huh?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So brothers and sisters, make sure you go and watch the first episode so that you can stay in tune. So dear brother, this is where we close out. We want to know if you would like to give information to the people. Any final words, anything you would like to say to close us out, Dr. Ilya Rashad.
Well, certainly, brothers. Once again, I'm more than appreciative and thankful to have the opportunity to discuss this and other topics with some intelligent brothers like yourself. As you know, there aren't too many platforms where we can even have these conversations.
That's right.
This is a topic everybody's running from. So I appreciate you. And you'll notice that with the exception of probably 3 interviews that I've had, all the rest of them have been Nation of Islam affiliated for the most part, you know, because they're not trying to talk about this. So please stay connected. Again, our website is nationbrothers.com. You can go to there and access many of our resources, our books, UFOs and the Nation of Islam. You can also, from our website, access our documentary, Answered. The first episode, the prelude episode, which is now available. And we certainly encourage you to go and check it out at nationbrothers.com. And thank you once again, dear brothers. And I look forward to hearing from you all again.
We definitely thank you, brother, for your courage and stepping out there and not only doing it in book form, but now doing it in video form as well. Definitely, we want to keep improving. All right, brother Ahmed, any final words, sir?
Brother, I just like to thank you for all the work that you do with the research team and helping the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan. Your family sacrifice, your sacrifice, all the work you put in getting this knowledge and information out to us in spite of all the adversity and all the things you have to go through to get it out there. You know, we want to support you in any way we can. So anything you bring to us, We want to push it. We want to promote it. Show this documentary on all our social media. And I encourage all our listeners, please show this trailer, show this documentary on, well, show the trailer and the website on every social media avenue that you can put it on. We have to give this information out. Like the brother said, they're not going to show this on Netflix. They're not going to show this on these other platforms. And everything else that's black TV shows is just comedy. They're just making mockery of everything.
Right.
They're not taking serious topics serious unless they get permission from the powers that be. We want to promote everything that's going to help and support our people. Thank you, brother, again, and thank your family for allowing you to be who you are, brother. Thank you.
All praises due to Allah.
Praise be to Allah. All right, brother Kawi.
Oh yes. Assalamu alaikum, family. I'd like to first let everybody know, as soon as I heard that he had a documentary, I called brother right away. And it really wasn't nothing he was going to say that was going to stop me from talking to him until he said, yes, I will come on this show. So I appreciate you, Student Minister Elia, for taking my invitation. And this show was exactly what I thought it would be. It was informative. It was entertaining. It gave us information that we needed to have that we don't talk about much. We talk about every other subject, but we very seldom have this discussion. And I'm glad that you was able to visit our platform first and talk about it in the way you talked about it. In particular, that I hope that everybody got over to everybody. I really hope and pray that people get your documentary and really just get the seriousness of what you're trying to put out. So, like I said, the only thing I saw wrong with the documentary is that you didn't have the Jock brothers.
Well, who knows?
It's more
in the upcoming episodes. In the upcoming episodes, we might have some of this going on now.
Absolutely, that's what I'm talking about.
It was very nearly one. Well, thank you for taking our invitation, brother. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Thank you, dear brother.
All right, Jock Nation. Thank you for hanging with us tonight. Thank you for your support. Thank you for the love. Thank you for whatever you do. And we want to tell you, this is what we're doing for the new season. We're gonna keep it Messiah all year. We're gonna keep it Messiah. All right, family. Like we say, another one.